like walking up to someone that can't paint and saying, you know, hey, do you want to help us paint? Like, no, I fucking don't. You can't paint. I'm not being elitist. Make a program, dude. Make one. Make a program, Singe. You guys can't code. You can't paint. Can't code. You can't paint. Code. Paint. Code. Paint. No, you guys literally cannot program. You guys can't code. Like it's like walking up to someone that can't paint and saying, you guys can't code. No, you guys literally cannot program. Why are you doing this, dude? You guys can't code. You can't paint. Can't code. You can't paint. Code. Paint. Code. Paint. No, you guys literally cannot program. Yeah, you guys can't code. You guys don't have the knowledge to be able to program. You can't paint. Why are you doing this, dude? Can't code. Paint. Code. Paint. Code. Paint. Code. Paint. Can't code. You can't 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 paint. You literally cannot code. Like, you know, to put it bluntly, guys, like, you can't paint. Why are you doing this, dude? No, you guys literally cannot program. To put it bluntly, guys, can't code. You can't paint. 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 Why are you doing this, dude? Can't code. You can't paint. 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 I'm not being elitist. Make a program, dude. Make one. Make a program, Singe. Like it's like walking up to someone that can't paint and saying, no, you guys literally cannot program. Can't code. You can't paint. Can't code. You can't paint. Code. Paint. Code. Paint. Code. Paint. Code. Paint. No, you guys literally cannot program. You know, hey, do you want to help us paint? Like, no, I fucking don't. You can't paint.
Welcome back, or welcome front if it's the first time joining us. I am Joshua with Weird Gaming Adventure, and as always, Lev the Dev. Say hey.
What's up? What's up?
And who else do we got with us today, Lev?
Today we're joined by former colleague and former SWG Reborn staffer. I can't really pronounce his name. AMK or AMP or that guy.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
How you doing, man?
Okay.
Pretty good. How's everyone else here?
Yes.
We are good. And you know what else we are? The Outer Rim Report.
We are
Thanks
the
for
Outer
stopping by.
Rim Report, indeed. So we've got some things to talk about this week. Where we got Amp on here with us. Give us some background. Like, how did you? Where did you start off in the game? How did you play on live? What did you do? Where did you play? And so on. Give us your story.
So I started playing the game back in about 2004. I was in middle school, so I'm this is during pre-CU, so I started the game really, really young. Used to come home from football practice and chug Mountain Dew Pitch Blacks and play Star Wars Galaxies.
Mountain Dew Pitch Blacks. I remember those.
But I started on Valson and Tarkonis. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce them. I've never really cared too much about it. But in about probably 2007, I took a break for about 3 or 4 years, and I came back and re-rolled onto Sunrunner, or transferred. And then from Sunrunner, I met a group of guys named Weezius and Psy and Moonstar, and we kind of PvP'd there against RDP, and went from Sunrunner. Once we kind of beat that and that became old, went to Bria, Flurry, Chalastra, Starsider, and kind of became like what people memed like the inner circle of Star Wars Galaxies battlefield groups type of thing.
So you really are from the Outer Rim. You're from everywhere.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
played on just about every server. It sounds like.
All the servers that mattered. No offense.
Mocha.
Yeah, you didn't say Bloodfin. Bloodfin was a server that mattered, man.
Okay.
Next. It's like they merged your server, dude.
So the game shut down. We found ourselves without the NG for a while. Project SWG happened, and then SWG Reborn. How'd you get involved with that?
So I being part of like kind of that inner circle meme thing. That's how I knew Ristana for the longest time, and I was just playing with them and kind of got involved. And eventually they're like, "Hey, you want to be a CSR?" Since I was kind of helping to test Reborn, which is now basically Legends. And so I kind of got tasked with running the legacy quests, doing quests on Mustafar, Kashyyyk, all the stuff that was like core to leveling. And then like I'd report NPCs that were missing and have or get trained on it. Eventually I was supposed to get trained on, but other people would come in and persist those NPCs or persist those terminals because they weren't in the game at that point. They kind of had to build some of that up from scratch. And then, the great drama happened shortly after that.
The great drama.
Let me see that. Let me taste those tears. What are we talking about? The great drama. For those of us that don't know.
Well, one day SWG Reborn existed, then the next day SWG Legends existed, but in between was the drama.
So you're talking about like, okay, so we have vanilla SWG. Next day, you have combat upgrade. Next thing you know, you really have NG. Like literally, next thing you know, you really have NGE. Is that correct? Something like that?
Something like that. In terms of the drama with SWG Reborn, this was like 6 years ago, and like and by this point, barely registering and like the stuff that I cared to actually keep in my like active memory loop. But let me try to remember this from at least my perspective. Myself and my colleague Singe, we were approached by Sifo. He was Reborn's lead developer at the time. He approached us and wanted us to get involved. And was it him or was it Aconite that actually wanted us to get involved? Honestly, at this point, I can't really remember. But Sifo and or Aconite, or both, the combination thereof of the both of them, brought us into that project because Sifo felt like the project was being usurped away from him by Ristana and those guys. And so he brought us in to kind of meddle and kind of make sure that control of the project went right back into Sifo's hands where he wanted it to be. So we did kind of a social engineering thing to throw it back into Sifo's hands.
Sifo is your guys'
Sifo was like, Yeah, I guess you could say at the time he was kind of like our boy because we liked him. We were colleagues from Project SWG. We had no fucking idea the level of like douchebaggery that kid was capable of, but we were about to find out.
And then Aconite was under the wing of Ristana in that corner. Because
Yeah,
then basically more drama happened.
more drama happened. But with these guys, like drama was like it sticks to them. They're like flypaper for drama.
So you
And
learned really quickly why he was getting essentially usurped out of the lead role, correct?
in a sense, yeah. Like Sifo turned out to be like a massive tool. But once we got things back into his hands, it's like great. We were gonna step into there in a development role, and with the leaked source code, like Sinj and I, we had zero experience with it. We hadn't even been able to like look at it in any significant detail because nobody was really spreading it around at that point in time. And Sifo had several months of a head start on us in understanding it and knowing how it was put together. And we ended up started to have a conversation with him one night about, wanting him to like, sit down with us, spend some time, and to be like, look, you've had months to go over this and study it and figure out how it's put together. Show us how, tell us about it. Tell us how SOE put this jumbled piece of garbage together so we can chip in and help out, and we're not spending the months that you spent researching and figuring it all out.
Help me help you.
Yeah, essentially. And Sifo's retort was to just blow up and be like, he's like, you guys can't code. You literally can't code. To put it bluntly, it's like asking somebody, hey, you want to help us paint? Like, no, I fucking don't. You can't paint. And that whole meme, where that came from.
And that, like, whenever you're entering into the Twitch stream, LeVar so kindly put that on the beginning. So if you want to know what we're talking about, make sure you're on before every Twitch stream, before we're going with the Outer Rim report, to hear a portion of this dialogue.
Yeah,
it gets me pumped before the show.
Essentially,
I walk around.
But
you can't.
At that time, I was a lot more of a short-tempered person, and Sinj, well, he's always been a pretty short-tempered person. It spiraled out from there. It turned into a shouting match and turned into a whole lot of F-bombs and fuck yous and shut the fuck up, and kind of went out of control from there. The conversation from that point ended with me and Sinj saying, fuck this, we're out, and we left, and Reborn went to its own device. Sifo, from there, had more drama with the other guys, and Amp could probably take it from there, what happened.
So I was coming in on as going to be a CSR, so still kind of getting trained, getting through the ropes of how like things worked. I still never got like fully in depth because it basically like shit hit the fan at some point. So from what I remember, the best of my memory is Saint Celis, I think, who was also part of the staff. It was Ristana, Saint Celis, Sifo, Aconite, and the like CSRs like Sammy Boy, Super Elf, QCP, and stuff like that. But Saint Celis got a hold of the PayPal document, and he noticed that there were some payments on like a Subway gift card and an iTunes gift card. And so this PayPal donation was set up for strictly SWG Reborn. Like people were going to pay for the server domain, all that stuff. So that's when things kind of got a little bit wonky. And we brought Aconite in and talked about it, and he made the whole thing, I'm a minor, you can't threaten me, because people were talking about legal action, and I think Reborn even offered refunds on donations. So long story short, I think the basic determination from that was Aconite had to go. Like, this couldn't happen. He literally just stole from people, and that's not. Hey, this is the first NGE server. Let's not fuck it up,
He just had to get his $5 footlong, man. Come on.
He needed a $5, whatever. But, so, anyways, fast forward. Aconite's allegedly gone, and we're still working. And we noticed like some people that were on admin accounts that had admin accounts in the database, and we're like, okay, this is weird. We don't know who this person is. So we just continued doing what we were doing. Reborn was actually out and considered like playable. And then at some point, something happened and I kind of got annoyed, and I'm the one that kind of blew the whistle about Aconite being back on staff. He was hidden back on staff under a different name because just the way he was talking, I was kind of pieced it together.
That is
And then
so
that whole
him.
drama happened.
Do you know how many times that kid changed his name over the years? Like,
I'm sure
he showed up first as Xantox, and he tried to, claim as when he was 15 years old at the time, he tried to claim to the PSWG team that he was a former SOE developer. Then he disappeared. He came back as another name, Adobe. Then he disappeared again. He came back again as at Viron, disappeared, came back as Aconite. The kid had so many fucking names.
I think you might have been in that. There's a YouTube video of all of us when we were talking about Aconite doing all that stuff and like doing like transition of power of what needed to happen, because you were still kind of backing Sifo at that point, I think, a little bit too.
I just remember one conversation there. There was one of the staffers, his name was Sparrow, and he was in there, and basically he never put a word in. It was his wife that kept talking for him. And I do remember.
Yeah.
I remember her saying something, and it'd be like, wait, all right, let me get this straight.
Who the fuck are you?
I was like, are you on the staff, or is your husband on the staff? She's like, my husband is on the staff. I'm like, all right, then shut the fuck up. That was funny.
Okay,
Drama.
so when people talk about how, the Legends team is corrupt, can we set the record straight with that? Are they referencing pre-Legends on that?
I think they're referencing the original team, Ristana and those guys, because the current team, I haven't seen anything that is not above reproach from them. Like, they do a fantastic job these days.
That's something that's really important for me to get out there and express as well, because like, with my channel, there's a lot of people that essentially like to go on there and say, hey, you shouldn't support these people, so I want to be able to set the record straight.
Yeah.
At least to say what I always say is whatever they do, like, I don't care how they prepare my steak. If it's a good tasting steak, I'm going to eat the steak until, they spit on my steak, and then I'm going to, jump over the thing and jump on their heads type of thing.
Exactly.
So that's all I want to get out there. So separate the two. Completely different team. Legends team is very, very professional
nowadays. Yes, for the last few years they have been. Yes.
I forgot one of the other names. Great Legacy. That was another one that was on there.
Yeah, he was kind of like their community lead, so to speak.
Yeah.
I didn't really particularly mind Gray. He was sometimes a little over the top, but he was an okay guy.
Well, I know he spawned himself items in game, and for friends.
Yeah,
I know.
sure.
So But let me try to think where we're back on that. So the drama happened. Ristana was still kind of in control of it, and it kind of Reborn fizzled out basically. And then I was kind of burning myself out on it because I was playing the game. I unlocked a chef, grinded out a chef in the first week. Was making capped food, buying everyone's 30k resource seeds for a meal, and I had basically a bank full of them. So I just burnt myself on it. And so when it switched over to Reborn to Legends, I was kind of offered or asked if I wanted to come on. I was like, nah, I think I'm good. I put too much effort into this already.
Yeah, I think it's how it ends up with a lot of people that get involved with these projects. After a while, they just hit that point where they're just like, I'm tired of doing this thankless work, and it's stressful, and I think I just want to chill.
Because I played when it turned into Legends, I don't even say maybe a few months, and then I left. And I just recently came back after 5 years. I have just within the week started playing Legends again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's one of the things I was going to ask is what you're playing right now. So there you go. It's Legends. I'm really interested to hear more of the story. Let's put a pin real quick. Let's talk about what's going on right now. What are you playing on right now in Legends? What's your level? What are you doing? Don't tell me you're doing a legacy quest.
No. I had everything maxed out because I said I played Legends for the first few months when it first came out. Okay. So I had everything, but I pretty much gave all my stuff away. So I'm kind of having to regrind basically all my gear. So I think
are you AFK grinding?
No, because all my good spots got taken and deleted.
So now they're macro banned?
Yeah, well, that I just farmed one spot overnight and it didn't drop anything. I don't know if they took something out of the loot table or what it was, or I just got maybe extremely unlucky. It wasn't all night; it was like an hour. But I'm like, well, this isn't working.
Probably.
So,
Maybe. Who
You
knows?
better
but
watch out.
I mean, I have Jedi officer, a spy or a bounty hunter, whatever I want to make him, and then I had a melee smuggler because a melee smuggler BM because BM right before I left Legends started to become pretty popular and people started
Yeah.
to catch on that BM was kind of OP.
You might want to change that now.
Hmm.
As a smuggler myself, I wouldn't call it my main. One of my secondary characters. I cannot imagine being a melee smuggler.
Oh,
Under really any circumstances.
I just did it to farm AFK. That was probably the best one because he had like the low level attacks. I think hit the hardest out of all of the professions.
And it brings them in so you can auto loot them too. So there's that.
Yeah.
Lev, what are you doing right now in game? Be specific. Don't say I'm just doing heroics.
That is basically all I'm doing now. I log in, I do heroics, and essentially that's about it. Occasionally I hop in my TIE Defender and go do a space battle, but I've been actually playing some other games right now. But
Oh,
yeah,
well, I'll tell you what.
I've been burning myself out on playing Star Wars Galaxies, and I'm trying to like tone it back just enough so I'm not like completely like on it 24 hours a day because that's unhealthy.
Yeah, unhealthy not only for personal life but also for gaming life. You can't last in the game for that long.
Yeah.
However, some good stuff going on in Star Wars Galaxies. Just heard from the Legends team that there is some new stuff going on. A new announcement's coming on, and they wanted me to tell everybody that Bespin is way sooner than people think.
Oh, so
Take
it's no longer soon TM, it's just soon.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take that how you will.
I'll take
Also,
that with a grain of salt for now.
Yeah, or 3 grains of salt.
Yeah.
Also, as we know, we've been covering quite a bit. We have a Resto 3 big announcement coming April 17th. I'm personally very excited. I've been testing and doing that for the past 4.5 months. Super stoked about that. What do you guys think about Resto 3 coming?
I personally have not actually had the opportunity to play it firsthand, but I understand AMK here has played it extensively and has his own opinions about it. Let's have it.
Drama Reborn. Here we go. So I was gonna preface with that too. I played Restoration before I came back to Legends. I was playing that for. I played the Restoration 2, and then it was kind of bare bones, so I didn't play that much. Then I came back for Restoration 3, and I was playing that and got some characters leveled up, and just noticed there was quite a few things that weren't accurate. And when I say accurate is when they were kind of broadcasting it as a combat upgrade server, but it's more of a hybrid. So I kind of like that's where I started kind of getting some red flags in my personal opinion. It's not saying it's bad or by any means, but so it's definitely not going to be a combat upgrade clone.
Well, yeah.
Well, they definitely say it's a combat upgrade hybrid server. Yeah, that's pretty much on the docket, if you will.
So, I guess where I like one of the things I remember that I've kind of brought up was Commando. The Commando had certain abilities and had certain ways of working the combat upgrade. They had heavy weapons, they were slow attack speed, but any heavy weapon like a rocket launcher, acid launcher had an AoE effect, kind of like how NGE does, but then flamethrowers had a cone effect attack.
Yeah.
And those cone effects would actually have put debuffs. Like if you use rooting shot with a flamethrower, it would root everyone in that cone.
Yeah.
So their route they went with was more of like it's kind of more of an NGE Commando. So where they have the it burns, burn down, and stuff like that. They have the dot ability that's on. I think the same thing as NGE. Now I haven't played Restoration, so things could have changed for a while. But when I played, it was probably like a 4 or 5 second cooldown, same way as basically what NGE is. And my issue with that Commando is that's fine and all, but in order for me to get a 10 dot stack that ticks just as much as a combat medics dot, I'm gonna have to spend 30 seconds, and that's if nothing misses and everything hits, and that's me not using any other abilities.
So you're saying that Commando was underpowered on Resto, not overpowered? Because I thought you were going the opposite direction with us.
No, I'd say it's under. it's under. I don't know. I feel like the commando's going to be dead before it can really get a 10 stack dot. If that makes
So
sense.
Arch Nemesis says, "Oh man, they're firing at you here. Didn't you stop playing like 2 days after the first version of Commando was added in?" I will say this: that's not the way the Commando is like currently. It's ready to roll. Like
What have they changed?
it is just as combat upgrade. It was basically back in the old days, all range weapon encumbrance, all of that stuff. It's completely in all of
Okay,
the
so the
own.
encumbrances thing, I brought that up to them because they had absolutely no idea. I mean, if they want to get defensive about it, I can say when I brought it up to them, they're like, "What's that?" And I'm pretty sure that Jar Jar and Halo have not played Combat Upgrade because that was one of like the basic things. Like you had a weapon debuff from level 1 when you equipped a weapon. If it was a ranged weapon, you had the debuff, and they're like, "What's that? That doesn't exist." And I told them about it. Oh well, what's the numbers? Because we don't know.
Yeah, I remember in the CU there wasn't encumbrance on armor, but certain types of armor they slowed your speed down slightly. Like recon armor, you move the fastest. Battle armor, not as fast, and assault armor a little slower.
Well, even heavy weapons had the weapon hindrance is what it was called then, not the encumbrance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Commando was like in combat upgrade, which was my absolute favorite time in the game. It seemed like that, especially with PvP, that was the best. And right now, like playing the PvP in beta and testing all of that, like
Yeah.
right now, oh my gosh, I'm ready to roll like right now with the PvP.
Yep.
It's what it was, and I'm so stoked over that. I'm pretty sure, especially like Halo, like each time that we've had him on, had him on the show, he keeps talking about how Combat Upgrade was his favorite era. So I don't know if he played Commando though at that time, but
Mm-hmm.
I did. I played it extensively all the way till the game it turned into NGE.
Yeah. I
that dreaded day when we woke up and what's going on here in live?
So keep talking about restoration. I feel like there's going to be extreme balance issues. One issue, and they said I haven't played in a few months, so if they change it, I haven't really been following too much. I could be wrong, but one issue I was having was the skill tape attachments. Some professions, 32 professions, didn't utilize like their full potential until like say combat medic got bio efficiency, biosuppression efficiency plus 25 skill tapes. Those weren't in the game, and when I brought them up, I kind of got like beat around answers. No one said yes, these are for sure coming in anytime I asked about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was concerned about that, and they kind of implemented the NGE stat system into the combat upgrades. So I'd have to go back and look, but basically NGE stats converted to like certain things that increase your percentage, and I'm kind of skeptical of how that's going to balance out because in my mind the best way to balance something is to try to get it back as vanilla as possible and then add to it, not throw in a bunch of different variables because combat upgrade wasn't balanced to begin with. So you add more variables, it's going to be like, okay, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
When I came back and when I first started playing and got geared and got a rifle, the combat formula of how like accuracy versus defense was skewed, and it got fixed eventually. It was a lot better than what it was. A rifleman could one shot people with sniper shot. You didn't have to go prone in sniper shot. All you had to do was press the button because in combat upgrade you had to go prone and you had to sniper shot, and it was a cast timer too. You could do it instantly, and that's not how it was on combat upgrade. So riflemen are going to be kings, but I'm pretty sure that some of that's getting ironed out. But it was completely unbalanced.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wouldn't be Star Wars Galaxies if it was balanced.
I could guarantee you that there will be balance issues. There's a whole, you guys, especially, being in the dev side, you know how difficult those things are. And so I can guarantee you there's going to be balance issues. However, I will say though, when I started like doing some testing and running all the beta, and they're like, oh, there was all sorts of issues. I don't know when was the last time that you actually played? I guess the reason why I'm asking is because like you should go check it out right now and then let us know what you think.
A few months ago, I keep an eye on the patch notes, but they had, like this recently they added what was something they added? The weapon hindrance. I saw that was added recently.
Yeah. You know what else was added? Lev's idea. No AFK, everybody. There ain't no AFK. Well, there is, but
yeah, I've always seen like the problem with. I mean, God bless Halo for trying to bring back the CU.
Oh, okay. So Resto Binks, Jar Jar just responded about the CU static tapes, and I brought it up. The issue with that is every piece of armor that you had 4 slots. They're using the NGE armor, which only has 1 slot. So if you're a profession that has more than X amount of slots, you're still going to be at a disadvantage because you can't get the full skill tapes. Because the way they presented it was the fact that they were going to be exotics, and not every single profession or build that you have is going to fit all their skill tapes into those exotics. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. And I will say, I don't know how that works right now. I've not built high enough to understand that. That would be something that I guess like I'll ask Jar Jar. I'm having him on my show tomorrow and all
Yeah,
of
take
that.
notes, and then he can rebut anything I say. If he has like different answers, that's fine. And as I said,
He
things
can
subject to change.
and maybe say why they're doing it and why they think it would be a good idea or something like that. I'm not sure myself. I do know that I have a lot of fun. So let me ask you, both of you, are are you going to play it if it's a fun game?
Yes. I plan on playing, regardless if it's fun or not. I'm at least going to give it a shot. I'm not going to be like, oh, they're not listening to this stuff. So I'm not one to write stuff off completely.
Yeah,
I mean, it's combat upgrade. I mean, like I said, that was where I kind of like matured most age wise, and I was able to understand the game more. Because pre-CU, I mean, I was 12, 13 when that came out, I think.
Dude, you sound like you know a ton. Why don't you do this stuff anymore? Like, why don't you help with some of these servers anymore?
Well, I've tried to help and try to do my input, and I feel like there's a condescending attitude or pretentious attitude for some staff members on projects whenever you offer input, unless you know the exact data of what John Smedley was thinking about in his sleep one night, then they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. People get involved with these projects and they get a freaking chip on their shoulder to be like, I'm such and such, lead developer of shitty SWG project number 27. How dare you? And they talk just like that too.
And now that's why I was talking about weapon hindrance. Whenever I brought that up to the restoration staff, they were like, "What? What's that?" And when you don't kind of know like a basic thing that was like one of the first things you noticed you got when you equip the rifle, you walk slower. You equip the carbine, you walk slower. Then it kind of makes me like, "What the heck do these guys know?" And it makes it kind of feel like, why do I need to justify myself when I know what I know? I wouldn't say this stuff to like ruin the integrity or the project. I literally would say this stuff just like, hey, I'm trying to help you out. And I've got PMs from people that are playing restoration, and they agreed with me, and they showed me. See, I wasn't on the Senate, but they showed me all the Senate stuff too. So I was kind of in the scoop of what was going on behind the scenes too, and what was going on in development because people were leaking stuff to me.
So, like, and I'm not talking about just Resto or Legends or anything, but do you have any plans on doing your own server? Or are you going to be like a Lavaris and try it out and then get grumpy with everybody else and like, you know what? I know how the hot dogs are made now. I don't want to even play the game.
I legitimately cannot paint, so
You can't code. You can't paint.
It's
That is
harder. Yeah, you can't just one day say I'm going to. You can't just wake up one day and say I'm going to start an SWG server and just go with that. Some people have tried and they've done so, and there's a couple of other servers out there that are probably run by people that simple-minded, but it's a lot harder than just jumping into it. And it's really annoying to deal with the community, the pretentious people, the constant demanding, whining, petulant people. Hey, you should do this. You should fix this. Hey, man, can you do this? Put this into the game. This is fucked up. This is broken. Hey, this guy's bothering me. Can you do something about it? No, fuck off.
see, and I get where Lavar's coming with that, because at a certain point, I was playing restoration. I was testing stuff. I was in a PvP tournament, and it was something that was scheduled, something that should have been ready to go. They could have made a bracket on a third-party website, but for some reason, it had to be organized in game chat. And so one of the developers asked, and this is on restoration, asked the players, hey, can you be quiet while I do this? And players were talking because it's spatial chat, and then the developer decided to tell people to shut the fuck up. It's like, so I mean, it doesn't sound like a good way to start off telling your player base, that people you're trying to get the game, to shut the fuck up. It's not gonna.
Huh.
It doesn't look good in my eyes. I mean, this is a
And
complete subjective opinion. Doesn't necessarily mean it's like everyone agrees with it. But I mean,
Ed disagrees with you. I can
asking
see it on
people
his
to,
face right
asking
now.
people to behave themselves on the internet is a defeated proposition before it even starts.
true. But I think one thing that if since we know about Reborn and Legends and all that stuff, one thing you have to have is kind of somewhat of a good demeanor and a good integrity. So if you're a developer and you're, what I'd say a person that's very in charge of this project, you tell
Mhm.
your player base to shut the fuck up. I think your integrity is kind of shot. And as a person of who you are, because this isn't like the first time like I've heard about this one person and how they act. So
Yeah.
Oh, well, regardless I will say this. So I've had a lot of interaction with the big three, I guess is what we'll call it now, even though Restoration isn't live or anything. But you got Basilisk, you've got Legends, and you've got Resto. Uh Basilisk, I hate to be this guy. I It's the worst interactions that I've ever had in any type of media career or anything. People just telling me what I can and cannot say,
I
what
approve.
I shouldn't say, I don't understand, even though I'm saying like my opinion. They're saying my opinion is factually incorrect, and whether my opinion is my opinion or not, well, that's that. Okay,
Hmm.
Legends has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. The only hiccup that I've ever had is when essentially things were getting a little too popular at a time where there was some changes being made, like for instance when Disney or when Lucasfilm was like maybe stepping their foot back in the thing. And I was doing a lot of work with IGN, and there's one thing, hey, can we maybe air that later? That's a being in media, that's a perfect request. Kind, not saying take it down, all of this. No, can you do? I love that. Resto has been incredible to me. I'm literally talking with these guys like every single day. I'm testing out and all of that. I'm not being on the dev side or on that side of the table or anything. Uh, I'm just trying to stick up because, frankly, nobody's in here to defend their side, and we haven't heard their side or anything like that. But to me, and from everything I felt, I truly enjoy the interaction with them and a lot of the group on my end. And there's always a one off. I'll tell
so
you what, you pissed me off, I'm going to tell you the same thing.
so here's I'll just close with this, and we don't have to keep talking Restoration unless you want to. Go play it. Like I'm not saying don't go play it because of these reasons. Go play it. If you want to try something different, that's Combat Upgrade that a majority of SWG players probably did not get to play because it was only out for 6 months. Go
Mhm.
play it. I'm sure the NGE content's going to be fun mixed
Mhm.
in. It's going to be something new. It's not going to be something, oh, I'm running this heroic for the 50th time and I'm just going to put like half my characters on an AFK macro and complete it. Go
Yep.
play Restoration, but my opinion, don't expect it to be 100% great because it's going to have, I feel like, a lot of issues.
Sure. I mean, look, Resto did the same thing. They tried to make the CU out of pre-CU. They went from one avenue. They went from one direction, and then they went to from the. Now they're going from the different direction. They're going from the NG and trying to roll it back into something. It's gonna. It's either way. It's daunting and a shit ton of work for them to do, and there's no way in hell they'll get it to be 100% perfect. And the bottom line of any testing environment, any testing server is if it's broke, they're not gonna fucking fix it unless you tell them it's broken.
Yeah, can you imagine too? I mean, well, actually, you guys can't imagine, but I can't imagine just. In fact, Resto Banks, is that Jar Jar? Is that like he just basically says, you know what, like
If he knows what I was
you'll get
talking about,
paid
that's
for
probably
it.
Jar Jar.
That is
Yeah, you
Jar
guys
Jar,
will get
yeah.
paid for it, and they're doing it on their time. Everyone's gonna have a bad day,
Mm-hmm.
and whew, like
So I
I
know
just appreciate all of
when
these servers what they're doing. Go for it, buddy.
I'm kind of like I'll stick up for people. I know people aren't paying for it, but if the server gets popular, I'm pretty sure not CFO, jeez. Um, Halo runs it on his personal laptop. Eventually, they're going to have to get a server, and if people are going to start donating money to this server to have it running, I feel like it needs to be very transparent of what's not working and what is working and what the current idea and goal is.
Are you serious? He's actually running that off of an old laptop of his?
I don't know if it's old laptop, but that's what I was told. He
Hmm.
runs it on the laptop.
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, heck, I have a laptop that has an 8-core processor in it, so I mean,
Yeah, definitely gonna wanna, upgrade that hardware at some point in time.
Well, same with me. I have a 8-core processor on my laptop. No way.
Mm.
No way. And
I'm
and
pretty.
I know that they have been building servers.
It is a
and-
rented server. Okay, I was wrong on that. I'm just going on by what I was told.
Yeah, it's
was
a
run
rented
off as-
server that Halo has been paying out of pocket for 7 years. There you go.
There we go.
One other good thing about Resto, Halo has great hair.
He does have
It's weird.
fabulous hair, actually. I noticed that. Like,
Is that going to be an option for a human character then?
maybe it should be. They should get some modeler in there to put those freaking golden locks in there. I mean, he had some freaking like Pantene commercial quality hair.
Dude, he was as cool as the other side of the pillow, man. Like we had him on the last week. We lost that second half. I feel bad. Let me tell everybody here. So literally right before the show, we do like a sound test and get everything rolling. And this right here, I had an issue before I messaged Lev. I'm like, dude, I'm either gonna be way late or not at all. And I end up getting on like 2.5 minutes before the show. We were supposed to record 2 shows that day. Poor Lev was like trying to get everything out, but my bad on that. So, yeah. Question. Okay, we were actually talking with this on Discord. Do you guys like the idea of having race-specific weapons or armor type of thing like that? What do you think about?
I want my Bothan to wear Wookiee armor.
Well, yeah, Moonstar, yeah, Resto absolutely is not going to have Bespin. That's content that's been made from the ground up by the Legends team. They encrypt their client-side tree files so other projects can't take their work. Yeah, no, it's going to be a Legends exclusive. Any of the custom content they make is going to be exclusive because they encrypt their stuff.
Yeah, if you want to play Bespin, jump on Legends, and then play Resto, and then go play Basilisk. Do them all, everyone that suits your fancy for that day.
Yeah, just noticed that the chat on the stream is in the bottom left corner. It's supposed to be in the bottom middle, but it's not. Something's broken there. I'll have to check that out later.
Inverted joystick.
So you asked about character, class, and race-specific weapons, that type of thing.
Yeah, we were making a joke today because, well, frankly, I'm doing a Boba Fett video. I've been doing this series for IGN. It's called Boba Fett versus Disney, and I'm on my second video. But essentially, in this video, that we had the cops come to the house because I have an Ewok locked up, caged, or essentially like on a. So long story short, like we have a little bit of a dialogue about Ewoks and how their weapons are rocks, and they wear no pants, but they actually wear gear, that type of a thing. So we're making a joke about Ewoks having rocks. So in that vein, should we bring or should servers like make funny or just character or race exclusive weapons, that type of a thing?
Why not? I mean, Wookiees use bowcasters there as an exclusive, so why not?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, lore wise, I guess it makes sense.
That's what I want.
But then again, Han Solo used whatchamacallit, Chewie's bowcaster in one of the newer movies, unless we don't count those.
We don't count those. Those movies.
Okay.
Those movies are not canon. Not to me.
That's a conversation that Lev and I had a while back ago before the Outer Rim report. That was fun. I still got some video in the vault about that to put it out.
Yeah. We might rehash that on the show at some point in the future. I
think certain class identities are good for games. That's in any game you play. If certain things have this, I mean, if everyone can use everything and every class has this, and there's not really good class identity or profession identity or race identity, it's good to have variables.
Hmm.
If I can get anything in game, what I want to have is Ewoks having a 1 DPS rock that just throw around. You could run around like taunting people with like your Ewoks, throwing rocks and having sticks and flying around in little hang gliders and whatnot.
Wasn't there a love bow that they put in, the Ewok love bow that was like 1 DPS?
Yes, it's still you can still acquire that off of the vendors and the Love Day shit.
Oh, that's gross. Okay.
The only thing about the Ewok Love Festival that's good is the buffs. That's it. Everything else about it is really freaking dumb. Actually, you know what? The titles that you get off of that Mr. Hate stuff that Legends added, I actually kind of like those titles, but that's about it.
Any other okay.
Okay.
Any other suggestions that you would like to add into any server, just off the top of your head? What do you want in game? And don't say a statue of yourself.
Um,
Serve for Lev.
restoration wise, I think something I would push for because I'm going to play this class is old commando. And I said someone said something about it. That's how it is now. I don't know. Maybe I'll probably fire it up and go test it and look at it. But I would like to have it to where uh, flamethrowers had the cone effect, and then heavy weapons had the AOE effect. Because my plan was I was going to be like a super crowd control class. I was going to play smuggler and commando and COE root everyone for 10 to 30 seconds, depending how far the smuggler tree I was in. Now, once combat they get into combat, it breaks it, but it's something that commando had control over.
Yeah, man, Commando. That was my main in combat upgrade, and mostly because if you were Commando and if you were okay to good, you were great in PvP. If you knew how to cycle and everything, man, Commando's there. Just death from afar. I loved it. What about you,
Legends wise, it's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
be it's beating a dead horse on this one, but I was just talking about the recently because I just came back and there's actually a lot more stuff that I don't even know they've added. So I'm kind of playing catch up now since I've been gone for 5 years. But something I want, and I'm surprised it's not in the game yet. I do want the Elder Robes in not necessarily aesthetics, but the gift of the light side and the gift of the dark side buffs were very, very good for light side Jedi, and most people didn't utilize that on live because most people didn't get that buff until the end when SOE was shutting SOE down because they put those council robes in, and so everyone had that. And then whenever you get that proc, and because it's mostly good for light side Jedi, you could get it to where since light side Jedi has very short cooldowns on their sweeps and their strikes and guardian strike and force throw, those all proc that, and then sometimes it would crit between 2 and 3k damage, so it added up quick. And flurry was 3 attacks in itself too, so it gave you 3 times the chance to get that proc.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that in live.
It was the Elder robe, the Arbiter robe. It had the gift of the dark side and the gift of the light side buff. This was late in GE.
Gotcha. Gotcha. What about you, Lev? Oh, one real quick thing, just to do a little bit of cleanup here. Binks basically he cleaned up some things and he said AOE stuff for Commando is broken currently, but it's always been the plan. So as of now, AOE for Commando. If you plan on going live, playing Commando live, don't expect AOE on your Commando. So maybe hold off on waking the Commando until that's rocking and rolling, or maybe it'll be good to go when they start. So big announcement coming April 17th, ladies and gentlemen.
Moonstar
So
asks, "Will you guys ever have Kino on the show? I want to hear his side of the story." Kino, are you talking about that guy who sells that guy who sells credits? Is that who you're talking about, Moonstar?
allegedly,
Allegedly.
we don't want SOE coming after us and Disney coming after us here.
No, I absolutely will not give him a platform. I don't care what his side of the story is. If he's doing stuff like that, he's doing stuff that's against the terms of service of any of the servers that he's on, and he deserves a ban. Fuck him. He's not coming on here.
If it's real, if it's real, maybe he pissed somebody off and somebody decided that they want to make a little Photoshop goody and send everybody else out. All right, Lev, what do you want to have added into the game? Any server, go.
What do I want to have added?
Yeah. Wish list.
Uh,
Destroy Mustafar.
I already said that. No, I wouldn't mind actually seeing some of my old Planet work actually getting rehashed and brought into one of the servers that I play on, Legends, for example. But they'll never take my work. Why would they?
Lev does want a statue.
If there's ever a statue of me in game, it'll be me holding a Sith holocron in one hand and giving the middle finger with the other.
Oh boy, I tell you what, Lev, if you and I go in on a brand new server and donate a brand new server,
Not gonna
like,
happen.
we're gonna have, okay, well, I'll finance it, but with me, we're gonna have an Outer Rim Report statue with one little finger going down, which is me, and your middle finger going up.
Hmm.
Oh boy, make it happen, guys. Who wants our money?
I do have the one thing.
Windowed mode to work. What are you talking about, Eric? Windowed mode in SWG works just fine.
I do have another thing I'd like to get added to Legends. It's something that it's been talked about since I've played, and I know it can be done because I remember who it was that was working on it. But you know how the Tuscan King instance has like its own version of Mos Espa?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it was just recently resparked in the PvP channel about getting like different battlefields, and I would like for them to implement battlefields of certain areas that are instanced separately. So you could have like a Moss Isley battlefield, or you could have a, I don't know, wherever you want that could be specially instanced, and then you don't have to worry about it lagging the server and yada yada yada.
It'll lag the server anyway. It doesn't work that way. They're not actually true instances. They're never true instances. If you have mass PvP in Mos Eisley, yeah, it's gonna create lag for the people that are there in the cantina. But why would you ever want to fight in Mos Eisley anyway? The lag would be horrendous, and it would just be a bad experience. The same thing happens in Restos. The same thing happens anywhere.
I remember early days
An
of live.
urban PvP area as a battlefield could be an interesting idea, though. They could like remake not Coronet, it's too big. Maybe a smaller city like Dirac, or hey, let's change the fucking invasions to not have 10,000 freaking NPCs that lag the server out, and they might actually be fun to play.
That's why Lev and I are proponent for having a bounty system coupled with a TEF system in there. If somebody pisses you off in game, bounty, anybody can go get a bounty, and then it'll create a TEF, and then it'll create a TEF, and then you'll have a chain of fighting. We'll have PvP extraordinaire everywhere, and a hell of a good griefing system.
The only thing I would like to see them actually really fix on Legends, or specifically, is some love for bounty hunters. Bounty hunters seem to be a little bit on the weak side. I would like to see them address the overpower of Beastmaster. Beastmasters are absolutely totally broken right now. Like with a Beastmaster kick pet is like just ridiculous, ridiculous.
Here's the thing, though, Lev. It has, whether it be creature handler, whether it be Beastmaster, it's been broken since the beginning. It's been broken since the end, and
That's not entirely true. Anything
it's been overpowered one way or the other. If it's either underpowered or overpowered, depending on how you put your points, or depending on back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
They have made adjustments on Legends, so it's not 100% true to form of what it was on Live. They have made adjustments to other professions, so it's not exactly true to how it was on Live. The meta on Legends is very different because people play very differently than they did 10 years ago.
Well, Lev, being the tech, the resident developer guy here, you want to help Arigal about how he says it only works full screen for me. What am I missing?
Go into the settings mode and put it in, and click the little box that says windowed mode.
Oops.
Isn't there an option too? There's enable Windows key in full screen, enable Windows key in Windows mode.
And there should be actually a shift keystroke, correct?
Yeah. Shift tab, alt
So-
tab, whatever.
Moonstar, and mind you, Moonstar 1276, I agree 100%. Isley PvP is actually pretty fun. Cantina Starport chokes during RVP was really fun. It's true. It is real, because you could go in the back, you go in the front. It's a really fun time. Some of my best times was in live back in the early days, where you didn't have all these special places. You fought where you fought, and chasing back and forth between like Bespin and Mos Eisley and Anchorhead and then the city. Oh man,
Until
that
Restus
was
came out on Bloodfin, the quintessential place for PvP was always Theed. Be like whoever was standing out in front of the starport was king of the hill at the moment, and it'd always be like port over to Theed's shuttle C and come at him from behind and roll over them, and it just went over and over and over again. Restus kind of did kill open world PvP to an extent, but the damage is already starting to happen with all the static bases. I can't remember which came first, the static bases or Restus. I don't remember.
Yeah, I really wish there'd be more focus on base busting and just blow Restus up completely.
Yeah.
Okay, you already started it, finished the job. I truly believe that it has ruined real non-organized, I should say non-organized PvP.
You'd have organic PvP that happens spontaneously all the time if they got rid of the combatant status that allowed people to just, I'm participating in the GCW, but you can't shoot me because I'm not SF.
What about a battlefield with just the med center?
Huh.
The battlefield
I'm sure that would go over well.
Just
Battlefield, just the med center. You just float into the med center.
Just the rest of the med center.
Constant
Add a couple more stories to it, though.
So I had a walkthrough with the Legends team for the new battleground over in Bespin, and I know I've mentioned this before on the show, but you guys are gonna have so much fun with this. I liken it to a paintball like arena. Have you guys ever play paintball like IRL?
I have not.
Okay, get off the show. Just kidding. There's all sorts of different obstacles. There's lines of sight areas. You could go through buildings. You can like shoot through windows, and it's a big old, huge, like enclosed arena.
Never played
And
paintball. Never played
what's that?
I never played paintball, not IRL. I joined the military and shot people for real.
Okay, well, you understand, except you had less fear, or we had less fear than you. But yeah, it's going to be so much fun for that. I'm not sure what it's going to do to the rest of Bespin. Like, is it going to be the new Restus? Is it going to be the new place to hang out? Not really sure on all that. But while you're in there, it's going to be fun.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question because is Bespin just 8 FPS all the time, or is that just Loki's individual PC?
Probably.
Because that was driving me nuts.
I saw that on a lot of those videos. It was like really, really crappy frame rate, but I have to assume that it might have just been a crappy PC. Maybe Loki will come on and clarify that for us at some point.
No, I'll clarify that for you. So all that footage was mine, and it was reused. And so he took the footage, and then we did it live on my show, and I recorded it through Zoom. So it was just buffered down and buffered down and buffered down.
Okay.
And then he recorded that video and plopped it out. And so there was like 3 layers of slowness. And by the way, behind the scenes, I was having all sorts of issues like getting those videos up glad it wasn't live. Let's just say that. And so Loki did a really good job presenting all of that.
That's what I was asking, because I know probably about 50% of SUV players now are Legends players. Like the screenshots and videos they always upload, I'm pretty sure they still play on their computers back from 2003.
But you know what? Like, you got that stimulus check, guys. Or go crunch your cans.
Well, to be fair, I mean, even on my modern desktop with an 8-core processor and 64 gigs of RAM, SWG still manages to run at only like 24 frames per second at times. Why? It has to do with the client. The particle effects are terribly optimized. Everything about the game was terribly optimized. It only uses one-threaded processing. It does not take any advantage of multi-core processors, and it doesn't leverage your GPU to the fullest potential it ever could, because they cut a lot of corners, because this is like early 2000s architecture.
So we don't need a $2,000 rig, but you do need a $200 rig. At this, you can get a used one on eBay. This is something like I joke about this a lot of time. I'm glad you said that, because I agree. A lot of these old games, if it was working back in the day when we were broke, This game has been out for so long.
Yeah.
Like, I had to think about, like, back in the day. I mean, I was a kid, and even during live, I was broke. And now we're all. I shouldn't say that. Like I'm getting towards my 40s. I almost have a 4 at the beginning of my age.
Ditto.
If I can't get myself a computer and enjoy my life at this stage, then I better get to work and not play a game. So there is that. Anything else you guys want to cover on the show?
I kind of have a question specific for Lavaris about, because he may know the development side. Obviously, I think people are playing with higher frames, maybe not like 120 FPS the entire time.
Yeah.
But would FPS affect the server stability if people are pushing more frames and packets that way? As more people are running with higher frames, would that affect it in any way?
No, not really, because your cooldowns are universal. They're not determined by.
I mean, like server lag, would like higher frames affect server lag or anything like that? I don't think so.
No, they wouldn't affect server lag or anything like that. The only thing that would be affected is the speed in which animations are being displayed on through your client. Like, if you see the animation at 30 frames per second versus 60 frames per second, the animation is going to be twice as fast. Why? Because the client doesn't know the difference between 30 and 60 frames per second. The animations were all recorded at 30 FPS because that's the original cap of frames. And they just go faster in the NG because you can up the
Well, I was asking that because I know Black Desert Online, people were testing it where, like, if you played the game at 60 FPS versus 240 FPS, like some people played, you did have a distinct advantage because your like millisecond response time to the server and from your own PC.
Completely different client that's coded differently, packets work differently, everything about it works differently. You can't compare it because even like spatial positioning of how your character is moving around is completely different, old and janky as shit compared to any modern MMO.
Okay, that's all I was wondering. Something that crossed my mind about a couple days ago. So,
guys, 2021 just put out a video about this. It's the year of Star Wars Galaxies. We have everything that we want. We want vanilla, got it. We want the middle, got that. Coming up now with combat upgrade.
We don't have everything that we want.
Combat upgrade hybrid. What?
They still the torso slider for female characters needs to be able to go way out further to the right. I want really, really, really big hands on my dancer. You know, right now they only go out to maybe about a B cup. I want triple E cups. I want like giant jugs on that chick.
Okay, so we're gonna add that. Guys, we don't want an image designer. We want a plastic surgeon implemented in the game. Give us a cybernetics, a chip enhancer, all right?
Yeah.
That'll help you give a +10 to flare while dancing.
We need bigger boobs in SWG. This needs to be a higher development priority than anything.
Yeah, we want them so big that we can actually call them boobs. You know, now they're just breasts. They're subtle. I like how I pronounced the T in there. They're subtle. Their boob, their breast.
Could be stubble. They could be stubble.
Yeah.
Stubble, yeah.
Yeah.
We want jugs.
Yeah.
Give us green jugs.
This is important.
It's it's what we want in our older years. So and we've got legends. We have it all. Yeah. And we're so grateful to all of the teams who provide it for us, and we can't wait to get off the game or get off this thing and start playing again, right? Yeah,
correct. And I do want to say again, all my criticisms that I had about Restoration, still go play the game because I'm going to play it as well. I'm not giving up on it, but I just say I'm going to be I'm always critical, so I'm going to be critical about it.
Criticism
what a
is
dude
good.
right there. Yeah, you know what? Criticism is good. Cynicism is not. And the fact that you said go do it anyways, it's good until proven bad in my mind, but I'm okay with it being bad until proven good as long as we come to the same conclusion. So, and that's where we're at. Lev, any final thoughts?
No, I think we're just about out of time.
I'm scared. Who are you in Legends, and where can we find you?
I'm usually hanging out in the PvP channel on Legends. Discord.
You got
But
balls.
AMKSED is the main thing. AMK. I don't know. That's one thing I've always said about Star Wars Galaxies. Everyone always has name changes, so it's kind of hard to pick who's who and find out who's who as well. Yeah, Moonstar's
Wow,
correct on that.
You've got some balls if you're hanging out in the PvP channel. I tell you what, that's a dangerous environment, if you ask me, or
Yeah,
if I ask
they could
myself.
be mean.
Yeah.
They're mean to me sometimes.
Thick skin,
Yeah.
thick skin. Well, everybody, we had a wonderful time. Again, April 17th, big announcement coming from the Resto team. Go on their Discord server, go on their websites, yada yada yada. Emphasis
quick
on
hour.
the yada. Again, Bespin wanted us to tell everybody that it's closer than you think. Lavaris wanted me to tell everybody that we need bigger boobs in Star Wars Galaxies.
We do.
And I think at that point we're gonna cut the show.
Yep.
Take care, our scruffy looking nerve herders. What?
So yeah, thanks for having me.
Bye, guys.